Imagine a world where power is held in the hands of those who believe they can do no wrong. A world where self-importance reigns supreme, and empathy for others is simply an afterthought. What happens when this world begins to crumble, and those who have always felt invincible are finally faced with the harsh reality of their actions? What happens when karma, often described as the universal law of cause and effect, suddenly knocks on their door, delivering consequences they never saw coming? This is the story of narcissists who once thought they were untouchable, but then karma struck hard, and everything changed. Narcissism is one of those terms we hear thrown around often in today's society, but not everyone truly understands the depth of what it means to be a narcissist. It's easy to label someone as a narcissist when they display traits like arrogance, entitlement, and a constant need for admiration. But the reality of narcissism is far more complex. Narcissists aren't simply people who are full of themselves. They are individuals who craft their entire identity around a grandiose sense of self, often at the expense of others. They tend to manipulate and control situations to maintain their elevated self-image, all while showing little to no regard for the feelings of those around them. But what happens when these narcissists who have spent years, or even decades, on top of their self-made thrones, suddenly face the consequences of their behavior? Can the grandest of narcissists truly escape the reach of karma? The answer, as many will discover, is no. Karma has a way of catching up with people, and when it does, it often hits harder than anyone could have anticipated. Now, if you're sitting there wondering, what exactly is karma and how does it relate to narcissists? Let's take a deeper dive. Karma, in its simplest form, is the idea that our actions, both good and bad, eventually come back to us. It's the belief that how this all works. Let's first look at what narcissism truly is, and how narcissists operate. A narcissist is typically someone who has an inflated sense of self-importance, and a deep need for validation from others. They may be charming and charismatic at first, drawing people in with their magnetic personality and ability to make others feel special. However, beneath this facade lies a person who is emotionally shallow and highly insecure. Narcissists often lack empathy, meaning they don't fully understand or care about the emotions or needs of others. This can lead to behaviors that are manipulative, exploitative, and sometimes downright cruel. For example, a narcissist might enter a romantic relationship with someone only to use them for personal gain, whether that's emotional support, financial resources, or validation. They may shower the person with attention and affection at first, only to quickly shift gears once they feel they've gotten what they need. When the other person becomes aware of this manipulation, the narcissist might gaslight them into doubting their own perceptions, all while maintaining the belief that they are in the right. But narcissists don't just manipulate their partners. They often do the same in their workplaces, friendships, and even with family members. They'll take credit for others' accomplishments, belittle those who challenge them, and engage in underhanded tactics to maintain their sense of superiority. Throughout all of this, they rarely experience guilt or remorse for their actions because they genuinely believe they are entitled to whatever they want, regardless of who they hurt along the way. So, if narcissists operate with such little regard for the feelings of others, what happens when karma begins to work its magic? As we all know, the universe has a way of righting wrongs, and in the case of narcissists, this often comes in the form of unexpected consequences. For some, it might begin with small cracks in their seemingly perfect world. They might lose a friend or colleague they've taken for granted, or a romantic partner might finally stand up for themselves and leave the relationship. These may seem like minor inconveniences to a narcissist at first, but they are often signs that karma is already beginning to take effect. Once these cracks appear, the narcissist may find themselves faced with the harsh reality of their own actions. The admiration they once took for granted may begin to dissipate, and the world they've built on manipulation and control starts to unravel. But for many narcissists, the true impact of karma doesn't fully hit until they face a major life crisis. Perhaps they lose a job after years of taking credit for others' hard work. Maybe a close friend or family member decides they've had enough of being treated poorly and cuts ties. Or in some tragic cases, they may lose the very sense of self-importance that they've spent so long building, leading them to spiral into depression and self-doubt. The key thing to remember here is that karma isn't always immediate. In fact, for many narcissists, the consequences of their actions might not come until years after they've caused harm. But when karma does come, it tends to be swift and unrelenting. It's almost as if the universe patiently waits for the right moment. And then, when the time is right, the consequences come crashing down all at once. Let's take a look at a real-life example of how karma can strike a narcissist, and how the once untouchable individual finds themselves brought down to earth. Imagine someone who has spent their entire career stepping on others to climb the corporate ladder. They take credit for colleagues' ideas, undermine people who could pose a threat to their position, and maintain a carefully crafted image of being the office genius. For years, their reputation remains untarnished because they've surrounded themselves with people who either don't know the truth or are too afraid to speak up. But then one day, an opportunity arises that forces this narcissist to finally face the music. A new CEO is hired, and this person is not fooled by the narcissist's charm or manipulation. They see through the facade and begin to expose the truth about the narcissist's behavior. Colleagues who had once feared retaliation now feel empowered to speak out, sharing their experiences of how they were mistreated or exploited. Suddenly, the narcissist finds themselves in the middle of a scandal, with their reputation in tatters and their career at risk. For the first time, this once untouchable individual experiences the consequences of their actions. The admiration they once received turns into contempt, and the power they held over others evaporates. The very thing that made them feel invincible is now the source of their downfall. This is the power of karma. It doesn't matter how carefully a narcissist builds their empire, or how much they believe they are untouchable. In the end, their actions will catch up with them. And when it happens, it's often far more intense than they could ever have imagined. Karma doesn't just target narcissists. It targets anyone who wrongs others without remorse. However, for narcissists, the consequences can be particularly severe. This is because their entire identity is built on lies and manipulation. And when these lies are exposed, the narcissist is often left with nothing. The relationships they've damaged can't be repaired overnight, and the damage to their reputation may be irreversible. So, what can we learn from all of this? First and foremost, it's important to recognize that narcissism often stems from deep-seated insecurity and a need for control. Narcissists aren't inherently evil. Rather, they are individuals who have built walls around their emotions in an attempt to protect themselves from feelings of inadequacy. However, as we've seen, these walls eventually collapse under the weight of their own actions, and karma steps in to deliver the consequences they so rightfully deserve. If you're someone who has been affected by a narcissist, it's crucial to remember that you are not powerless. While it may seem like the narcissist is invincible or untouchable, they are not. Karma is real, and it has a way of delivering justice, even when it seems like there is no hope. Stay true to yourself, set boundaries, and trust that the universe will take care of the rest. In the end, the narcissist will get what's coming to them, and it may be far worse than they ever imagined. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of narcissism and karma, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We'll be exploring more fascinating topics like this in future videos, so you won't want to miss out. Thanks for watching, and remember, no one is truly untouchable, not even the narcissists. Imagine a world where power is held in the hands of those who believe they can do no wrong. A world where self-importance reigns supreme, and empathy for others is simply an afterthought. What happens when this world begins to crumble, and those who have always felt invincible are finally faced with the harsh reality of their actions?